some of you may be familiar with, but a lot of you might not be, and it's called the Jersey Devil. And this is a legendary creature, and I'm just going to be reading this stuff off of Wikipedia, so, because that's just the easiest way for me to find information on various cryptids. So if it's not consistent with like what you know about that cryptid, that's why. And I mean, obviously these things kind of vary from culture to culture and depending on what area you live in, but do feel free to let me know in the comments if your specific area or culture has any cryptids, or like if you have different stories than like what I'm telling you here. Feel free to post below because, like I said, this stuff interests me. Okay, so the Jersey Devil is a legendary creature or a cryptid said to inhabit the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey, United States. The creature is often described as a flying biped with hooves, but there are many different variations. The common description is that of a kangaroo-like creature with the head of a goat, leathery bat-like wings, horns, small arms with clawed hands, cloven hooves, and a forked tail. It has been reported to move quickly and often is described as emitting a blood-curdling scream. So, kind of what they think is like the origin of the legend is the Native Americans that lived in the area had a name for it, and it basically meant place of the dragon. And later, Swedish explorers named that area Drake Kill, and Drake is a word for dragon, and kill means channel or an arm of the sea. If you're from New York, New Jersey, that kind of lower area near New York City, you'll see a lot of places are named Kill, and it's a little disconcerting, but you kind of get used to it. I'm not from there, but I have family that's from that area, so whenever we drive down to meet them, it was like, kill this, kill that, like, it's crazy. Anyway, so, a popular origin of the story is as follows. It was said that Mother Leeds had 12 children, and after finding she was pregnant for the 13th time, stated this one would be the devil. In 1735, Mother Leeds was in labor on a stormy night while her friends gathered around her. Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch, and the child's father was the devil himself. Born as a normal child, it changed to a creature with hooves, a goat's head, bat wings, and a forked tail. Growling and screaming, it killed the midwife before flying up the chimney, circling the villages, and heading toward the pines. In 1740, a clergyman exorcised the demon for 100 years, and it was not seen again until 1890. Mother Leeds has been identified by some as Deborah Leeds on grounds that Deborah Leeds' husband, Japhet Leeds, named 12 children in the will he wrote in 1736, which is compatible with the legend. Deborah and Japhet Leeds also lived in the Leeds Point section of what is now Atlantic County, New Jersey, which is commonly the location of the Jersey Devil story. most of these, you'll see that the actual like origin year is very kind of argued. It's a point of contention. So this next one, I think more of you are probably going to be familiar with, and that is Bigfoot. We just have to wait for Wikipedia to load. It's being very slow. Come on, Wikipedia. Try it again. Come on. There we go. It opened right away that time. So, Bigfoot. Now, Bigfoot, most people have heard of. If you haven't heard of Bigfoot, you might have heard it called Sasquatch. And it's similar to the Yeti, but the Yeti is typically in like Arctic climates, whereas Bigfoot is more of a creature of the woods. So it says Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is the name given to a mythological simian, ape, or hominid-like creature that is said to inhabit forests, mainly in the Pacific Northwest. In American folklore, Bigfoot is usually described as a large, hairy, bipedal humanoid. The term Sasquatch, it's an anglicized version of a Native American word, which I cannot pronounce, so I'm not even going to try, but it's similar to Sasquatch. Scientists discount the existence of Bigfoot and consider it to be a combination of folklore, misidentification, and hoax rather than a living animal because of the lack of physical evidence and the large numbers of creatures that would be necessary to maintain a breeding population. Occasional new reports of sightings sustain a small group of self-described investigators. Most reports of sightings are attributed to being various animals, and particularly black bears. And I have seen videos where, people are like debunking Bigfoot, and it's, like a black bear that's walking upright on two legs. And so if you see that kind of at a glimpse walking through the forest, you're not immediately going to think that that's a bear. But, so Bigfoot is described as a large, hairy, muscular, biped, ape-like creature, roughly about 6 feet 7 inches, all the way through 9 feet 10 inches, covered in hair described as a black, dark brown, or dark reddish. Individuals claiming to have seen Bigfoot described large eyes, a pronounced brow ridge, and a large, low-set forehead. The top of the head has been described as rounded and crested, similar to that of a male gorilla, with a strong, unpleasant smell. The enormous footprints for which it is named are claimed to be as large as 24 inches long and 8 inches wide. Some footprint casts have also contained claw marks, making it likely that they came from known animals, such as bears, which have 5 toes and claws. Proponents claim that Bigfoot is omnivorous and mainly nocturnal. So, and there's a lot. I'm not going to go Nessie and Bigfoot are kind of like the top cryptids that most people have heard of, no matter where you live. Now, this next one is definitely more regional, and it is the Siwapa. And that is a mythological creature of Dominican folklore, and they're commonly described as having human female form with brown or dark blue skin, backward facing feet, and very long manes of smooth, glossy hair that covers their otherwise naked bodies. And they supposedly inhabit the high mountains of the Dominican Republic. And again, like Bigfoot, these creatures are believed to have mostly nocturnal habits. And due to the position of their feet, one can never quite tell from which direction the beings are moving from by looking at their footprints. Some people believe that they bring death, and it is said that one should not look them in the eye, otherwise the person is at risk of being bewitched permanently. Also, the only vocalization made by Siwapas is said to be a kind of whine or chirping. Siwapas are considered to be magical beings, beautiful in appearance to some, yet horrendous to others. All sources agree that they are wild creatures. They are compared in many cases to mermaids, beautiful yet cruel and far from innocent. And mermaids or sirens are another one that I'm not going to really talk about here, but there are definite similarities, and that is one of the things that I find really interesting about cryptids and folklore in general, is how similar these creatures can be from culture to culture. Now, obviously, the Siwapa is a mountain and forest creature, whereas mermaids and, sirens are in the sea, but it's the same kind of idea of this creature that appears beautiful but actually is not, and they basically seduce men and lead them to their deaths. I shouldn't laugh, but men are stupid. I'm kidding. Alright. People in general are stupid, which is why we're constantly tricked by these creatures and these myths. Alright, where was I? So, it is said that they are so beautiful as to lure men into the forest, even though following footprints is misleading. And then they sleep with them and they kill them after. And even today, it says one can still find inhabitants who confirm having sighted a Siwapa. And lore states that the only way to capture one is by tracking them at night during a full moon with a black and white polydactylic dog. So that's like a dog that has extra toes. And though many believe that the myth of the Siwapa is of Taino origin, it has been argued that it is probably of more recent concoction. So again, we have that discrepancy with when it actually came about. But some people believe that it is part of African beliefs that were brought to the island by slaves during the colonial period. And it says more to the point, no known Taino artifacts or lore make reference to any creature even remotely similar to it. So first newspaper report was published in the Point Pleasant Register, dated November 16th, 1966, titled Couples See Man-Sized Bird Creature Something. The being subsequently entered regional folklore. Mothman was introduced to a wider audience by Gray Barker in 1970 and later popularized by John Keel in his 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, claiming that there were supernatural events related to the sightings and a connection to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. Mothman is the subject of regional folklore and popular culture. The 2002 film, The Mothman Prophecies, was based on that book. An annual festival in Point Pleasant is devoted to the Mothman legend. And the history is on November 12th, 1966. 5 men who were digging a grave at a cemetery near Clendenin, West Virginia, claimed to see a man-like figure fly low from the trees over their heads. This is often identified as the first known sighting of what became known as the Mothman. Shortly thereafter, 2 young couples from Point Pleasant, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Mallet, told police they saw a large white creature whose eyes glowed red when the car lights picked it up. They described it as a large flying man with 10-foot wings, following their car while they were driving in an area outside of town known as the TNT area, site of a former World War II munitions plant. During the next few days, other people reported similar sightings. 2 volunteer firemen who sighted it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron. Contractor Newell Partridge told Johnson that when he aimed a flashlight at a creature in a nearby field, its eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors, and blamed buzzing noises from his television set and the disappearance of his dog on the creature. And a wildlife biologist from West Virginia University told reporters that all the descriptions in the sightings fit the sandhill crane, which is a large American crane, almost as high as a man, and this bird has a 7-foot wingspan, and it features circles of reddish coloring around the eyes, and that this bird may have wandered out of its migration route. After the December 15th, 1967 collapse of the Silver Bridge and the death of 46 people, there were no further reports of Mothman sightings, giving rise to legends that the Mothman sightings and the bridge collapse were connected. And I did see that movie like back when it came out. I remember liking it, but I don't really remember much about it. But if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Okay, this next one is chupacabra, and the chupacabra is literally means goat sucker, and it's a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas, with its first purported sightings in Puerto Rico. The name comes from the animal's reported habit of attacking and drinking the blood of livestock, especially goats. Physical descriptions of the creature vary. It is purportedly as 1995 in Puerto Rico and have since been reported as far north as Maine in the United States and as far south as Chile, and even being spotted outside the Americas in countries like Russia and the Philippines. But many of the reports have been disregarded as uncorroborated or lacking evidence. Sightings in northern Mexico and the southern United States have been verified as canids affected by mange. According to biologists and wildlife management officials, the chupacabra is an urban legend. And yeah, you often see pictures of people who think that they found a dead chupacabra, but it's just like a dog or a coyote with mange, or it's like a bear that's really been like out too long. At least that's what people say. Who knows? Maybe it's chupacabra. So the first reported attacks occurred in March 1995 in Puerto Rico. In this attack, 8 sheep were discovered dead, each with 3 puncture wounds in the chest area and completely drained of blood. A few months later, in August, an eyewitness, Madeline Tolentino, reported seeing the creature in the Puerto Rican town of Canovanas, when as many as 150 farm animals and pets were reportedly killed. In 1975, similar killings in the small town of Mocha, I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of those things correctly, were attributed to El Vampiro de Mocha, the vampire of Mocha. Initially, it was suspected that the killings were committed by a satanic cult. Later, more killings were reported around the island, and many farms reported loss of animal life. Each of the animals was reported to have had its body bled dry through a series of small circular incisions. Shortly after the first reported incidents in Puerto Rico, other animal deaths were reported in other countries, such as the Dominican Republic, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, Brazil, United States, and Mexico. So, the most common description of the chupacabra is that of a reptile-like creature said to have leathery or scaly greenish-gray skin and sharp spines or quills running down its back. And, let me see. So, I mean, it's kind of, they think that a lot of, what people think the chupacabra is like coyotes that are infected with a parasite, and that parasite would make, the coyotes kind of lose most of their fur, it would thicken their skin, and they would have a rank odor. So, and they said that, the attacks on the goats probably happened because these animals were greatly weakened, so they're not going to have an easy time hunting. So attacking livestock is a lot easier, but it's, nobody knows if that shapeshifter and like a mermaid, because they're seals, and they come on land and they shed their seal skin, and they're these beautiful women, and they dance around on the shore, and then they put back their seal skin and they go in the